Minister, thank you very much for being in the House. The Association of Garda Sergeants and Inspectors have expressed some concern about the move or the direction which we're moving. We're clearly going to move inspectors from their supervisory role into a management role as we move into this, and that is not their function. We need supervision on the ground using both our sergeants and inspectors, and I would ask you to reconsider that particular part. I'm under pressure for time, so I want to deal with also part 6 of your bill deals with GSOC, and there is some concern that some part of part 6 may be unconstitutional, but I do know that the Commissioner has made a submission to you, and I know that the representative associations are extremely, or certainly the GRA are very much behind that submission. So from that point of view, I would ask you to adopt the Commissioner's submission. And with respect to stakeholders, there is no mention of the GRA, I understand, in the bill with respect to the function or the position of the representative associations. One thing I would say is, we had a reorganisation of the Defence Forces back in 2012, and we are still living the horror of that. So as we move through this particular bill, there will be amendments brought in on behalf of the representative associations, who are the people on the ground expected to implement the wishes of government. And from that perspective, I would ask that we don't just dismiss them for the sake of dismissing them, that we actually go through those amendments, and if they're to be ruled out, or if you decide you can't bring them in, then to provide us with a rationale and explain to us why you cannot accept amendments that are being brought in by the people who are on the ground. I see the Chair looking at me there with time, so I will have plenty to say at the committee stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Craughwell. As there's no further speakers indicating to speak at this stage, I'm calling on the Minister, and I know it's a tall order, Minister.
That's okay. No, thank you, Commissioner, and thanks to Senators for their comments, their questions, but also their support for this bill. And as I said at the outset, it's quite technical, but at the same time, it's an extremely important bill in making sure that so many of the changes that are taking place across An Garda Síochána, the restructuring, that it is rooted in the law, and obviously that they are supported and enabled to do their work, and that it is as effective as possible. I think a lot of the concerns that Senators have raised around the restructuring is that, I suppose, this doesn't impact on community and local work on the ground, where their headquarters moving. It's what's happening in my own county in Meath. We'll have our headquarters in Westmeath, but really the clear intention of this restructuring, there are a number of objectives here. It's firstly that the local police on the ground, that they'll have more autonomy to make those decisions, so that the decisions are very much specific to the area and localised, and that's obviously what so many of us want, that it's more specialised. So already we have the Divisional Protective Service units that have been rolled out in all of the divisions, and what that is very clearly saying is that we now have people with that are trained and working solely on the area of domestic, sexual and gender-based violence, and I think it's important that we have it not just for that important issue, but also in the areas of cybercrime and other areas that will probably move to more specialised units. It's also about getting people out from behind the desk and out on the ground as well. So when you have so many districts that need a background team, so to put it that way, you're obviously creating less work that needs to be done behind the scenes and freeing up more people to be out on the ground, which is obviously what we all want. I think many of you touched on Garda numbers in general, and obviously the need to make sure that those numbers increase. We had only 2 weeks ago 120 new Gardaí coming out of Templemore, and obviously with restrictions being lifted, I'm absolutely confident that the 800 that are resourced and committed to for this year, that they will go through their process as well, and that in itself with the civilian Gardaí. And I do intend and have been speaking with the Garda Commissioner to make sure that our Garda Reserve, that we do revitalise and that we do increase those numbers as well. So there's a lot of things happening. This is obviously just one piece of legislation in a whole suite of measures, and of course Senator Craughwell mentioned that the Community Policing Bill, which is quite a large bill but is a priority in my department. We're working on it at the moment, hope to have it published in this session, and that in itself will implement a number of other changes. Senator Wall touched on the community safety the JPCs, and a core element of the other bill is around the development of community safety partnerships that will replace the JPCs. The intention here really is not to take anything away from local councillors or the excellent work that's been done on the ground, but it will actually bring together the local councillors and Garda Síochána, the likes of TUSLA, education, community groups, anybody really involved in the community, where they can then come together and devise their own community safety plan for that area. And to touch on the last point by Senator Carey, Mary Siri Kearney, around the funding and access to funding, there is a new fund that has been established which will enable all communities through the community safety partnerships to apply for money that will essentially go to projects that they deem suitable to help in their area, that will help keep young people safe, that will, you know, devise new programmes or projects or whatever it is that they want to do. So I suppose it's about making sure that this is about police on the ground, working in communities, working locally as well, and I do believe that this model will help to achieve that. Of course, and just on this last point, any piece of legislation has an actual built-in mechanism to be reviewed after 12 months, but I think this in itself and the changes that are taking place, we'll all be working very closely with the Garda Commissioner, and where things aren't working, obviously, and where things perhaps need to change, then that of course will be taken on board. Thank you.